Make you feel comfortable. And I've given him the big high chair because I thought he might feel small next to me. Hillary. So before we start, I just want to let you know a couple of things. Is Rebecca here? Is Rebecca gone? Rebecca's not here. There's an event tomorrow. Here we go. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it before we get into it?
I'm actually not too sure about it.
You're not too sure about it. Anyway, if you left your name card in that box there's an event tomorrow which is called Leading Ladies. So it's 3 venture capitalists who are going to talk in a place called Meta, which is up the road. All right? So if you want to hear from them, you're welcome to go along. And I'll do a lucky draw at the end, and you get the tickets, which are worth $380 each. So, quite good. All right, so Steve's only got a few minutes with us, 10, 15 minutes. So I originally heard of him in Singapore. And you know, in Hong Kong, the word Singapore is quite, sometimes people hiss.
Yes.
So tell us what you were doing there you were working for DBS, right?
Sure. So I'd just come from doing a startup, and I joined DBS as their first chief innovation officer. So we set about trying to work out how do you transform a state-owned company into a leading and modern company. And I think within a fairly short period of time, DBS actually really got behind that agenda, made very significant investments, and is now kind of reaping the reward of that movement. So that was kind of the DBS story.
And why did DBS do it before HSBC? What was the story? Why is Singapore ahead of what we do here? Is it to do with the people leading the business, or is it just Singapore as a whole?
Yeah, no, I think HSBC are really famous for putting the BC back into banking. But you'll notice that the BS. But no, I think what you saw in Singapore is quite interesting. Very much we had a relationship which was confrontational with the regulator at first, but then you had a very engaging regulator that kind of worked out that it's better to work together very quickly. So you know, we had a few offline lunches with the chairman of MAS, and pretty soon they created an innovation team. And that created an environment that made it very easy to move, because once you live learning between the regulator and the institutions, you're no longer escalating and asking them to do something that they don't understand, which the only answer can be no. So Singapore is a very engaging environment for that. Very tight ecosystem. I mean, it's a very phenomenal ecosystem, one of the world's best. But it's very much driven from the top down. What we have here in Hong Kong is very organic. And so because you have that environment entirely protected here, you're not forced to act. So we see HSBC and the local banks somewhat lagging in terms of the way that they embrace innovation.
The word is that they're hiring like mad. I know a few people who've joined HSBC here. They're spending $2 billion on getting better. They're changing the BC into ACDC.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think it's about people. If you look at the people that led the innovation team at DBS, they were all internal hires. I mean, they actually
didn't bring people from the entrepreneurial outside world.
Zero, actually. We didn't take anyone. Yeah, I was an ex-banker. I'd worked with Piyush at Citibank, and I actually think that the main role for people in innovation is to give people platform and protection to go and do things, because I think we're all, as human beings, we're all quite incredibly creative, and as we will see tonight, we tend to lose that creativity inside the workplace. So we say that it's difficult to change. So who doesn't like eating different food for meals during the day? Who wants to do the same thing, walk in the same place, visit the same place for holidays? We thrive on change as human beings. We're just not given a platform to enable people to actually have success and achieve what they want to do in that change. So if you were told that, hey, you could go to a different restaurant every day and then just deny people transport to get there, of course you're going to give up after a while. So in innovation team, both at DBS and in AIA, our role is really to give people platform to get stuff done.
But why do you think a big corporate is the right environment to do that? Because in this town, like a lot of towns now, you've got a lot of smaller groups doing accelerator programs, etc. Do you think the big corporate is the right organization to do that? I mean,
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I've been both an entrepreneur and of course in the corporate space. There are assets that you have as a corporate which give you a tremendous advantage: capital, resource, experience, commercial capabilities, etc. Huge distribution. But there are things that you don't have that exist within the startup community. And I think that the real opportunity is to kind of create that capability of taking things from the outside in and inside out.
So tell us how what you've been doing at AIA. You said originally you were doing it at DBS, right? So then it was it's like, well, if we can do it there, we can do it here, right?
So the first thing that we set up at DBS was a way of learning about what's going on. So we figured after discussing with MAS that if I was to tell them about things
like MAS is
Monetary Authority of Singapore, so the regulator.
Yeah.
If I was going to tell them about what's happening, they're not going to believe me. But if I line up Agency for Science and Tech Research, which is like the ASTRI equivalent here, that the government put 60 billion into hiring more PhDs per square foot than anywhere in the world, they would believe them. So we set up a lab with A-Star, we linked up with the universities, we linked into the entrepreneurial community, and we linked internally for crowdsourcing within the company. And that way we could get a real feel from an economic level where the opportunities were, where people were placing investment, all that sort of thing. And so to create that learning layer is sort of layer one, to create a venturing layer and accelerators, I think, is venture two. And then the final layer to that is really the capital layer.
So is that what you've built in AIA now? Those three
layers?
layers?
we're building the third layer slowly. But we've built the learning layer, so we've done another A-Star lab in Singapore, and I'm on an advisory board at ASTRI. We've built ties to HKUST here. We've built a collaborative innovation center above NTU in Singapore, and of course we've run corporate accelerators for startups.
So you're doing the accelerators. You were telling me you've done 2 cohorts, right? Why is it always military terminology? 2 cohorts, is it so far? Or 2 groups have gone through the...
We've had 2 completions, and I think we're about 3 weeks away from completing our 3rd cohort in Singapore.
And these are adult children?
These are adult children, yes. These are guys that experiment, and they're highly creative and highly successful.
So tell us about what kind of ideas do you see coming out of that? You said that some of these are really going places.
Well, recently one of our more successful entrepreneurs, Danny Jung, started a company called Pronetics, and they do pharmacogenomic testing. And what that is basically to take your genome through a simple swab, and it's a narrow section of your genome, and it works out what drugs work for you and what don't. So if you think about it, when you go to a doctor and you say, the doctor will say, are you allergic to this drug? And you go, well, I don't know. Mm-hmm. So it means that you're the test lab. And there's 100,000 people per year that die from properly prescribed pharmaceuticals in the US, and it's about 190,000 in China that they're aware of. Yeah. So what pharmacogenomic testing does
You've got to come up with an acronym. Hillary can probably say it better than both of us.
I'm sure.
Hillary, what's it called?
Testing.
I'll ask you later.
But what it enables you to do is work out what drugs actually work for your genome. So one of the guys in my team was the first baby tested in Asia, and they found out that his son was 100 times more sensitive to a particular drug than the average person. So that's like taking 100 tablets if you have to take that drug, which is probably going to result in a trip to an emergency room or perhaps even death. So there's that sort of technology and that capability out through entrepreneurs like Danny that are making it available broadly across Asia, and he's been incredibly successful.
And he's like 36 as far as I remember. I interviewed him when he was doing Group 1. So how do you say, right, I like what I'm doing with this group. Why would you suddenly want to involve children? Haven't they got enough homework already?
So the
especially with their kind of helicopter mothers or whatever they're called, dragon mothers, lion mothers.
we never had dragon mothers.
No.
The team. I mean, when we're working with the corporate accelerators and the adults or the big kids, it's a part of work and it's part of what we do. But we wanted to find a way that we could participate in something that's really meaningful and actually touches people that are actually engaged with it. So it's something that was social but very relevant to what we do. So we came up with the idea of coming up with creating the Emerging Entrepreneur Challenge. So we simply in the first year went out and we asked kids to come and pitch. And we ran that competition and we ran it at the tail end.
First year is
2 years ago.
Okay, 2014.
And what was amazing was that in the judging panel and actually in the audience, we were just blown away by what the kids were capable of. It was really unexpected. They would come in and give pitches that even our senior guys couldn't manage. So when we did it again last year, that was last year, losing track of time, too many countries, and Hillary won the competition this year, we spent quite a lot of time giving them skill sets that they could actually now apply back in their businesses. So we actually broadened the curriculum and really looked at the whole engagement equation.
So you're seeing these kids actually take these ideas and turn them into real live businesses?
Yeah, that's absolutely the intention. I think we...
Backed by AIA or more as a...
We're restricted from as a public company and capital and things like that, and child labour laws haven't been repealed.
Is it called child labour if you back a child's business?
Let's not go there.
All right.
But I think the interesting thing for us is that I think we vastly underestimate what kids are capable of. I think the CEO of Microsoft just pointed out that an 8-year-old in India just created this amazing game that's highly commercial. We've seen, you'll hear from Hillary, and I think you'll be blown away. She made Elon Musk look like an amateur at starting up Hong Kong. But you see 15-year-olds that are coming up with treatments from, and medical devices that are saving lives. You saw a 10-year-old go and hack through all of Facebook's millions of dollars of investment in security and hack through Justin Bieber's Instagram account. So, and think of that, a 10-year-old is going and defeating the smartest adult minds because they think in a very different way and they're not constrained by the many constraints we seem to put around them in secondary school. So what we notice is this big gap between people that are Hillary's age and then the adult equivalents. It's almost like as you lose some of that magic through these artificial constraints that are put around you in high school. So you've got to avoid that, right?
Yeah, don't let that happen, Hillary. Come back here in 7 years. So how do you, now that you're dealing with it, you're seeing this gap, how do you think an organization like yours could actually tackle it? Is there some way you go and shake up the education, or is that because obviously organizations too are requiring different skill sets, right? People's jobs now are not so insular, right, or so siloed. So do you think that if you change the structure of a company, is that going to change the way that people get educated to join those companies?
Yeah, I'm quite passionate about it. I've lived in Asia 22 years, and my son's half mainland Chinese, half Australian, of course. But I don't like education in Asia. I think it's in some ways it's highly restrictive and awful, and it's not valuable anymore in today's society. The idea of rote learning is going away. You look at artificial intelligence tools now, all the things that you rote learn are just a simple question away in AI. So how valuable is that going forward? The creativity quotient, the ability to communicate, as you see, Hillary's very good at it, they're far more valuable skills that will have some level of sustainability going forward. If you look at governments around the world today, they're fast trying to work out how they solve some of the problems that are going to come up through AI and robotics that are almost unavoidable. You'll see driverless cars are going to become absolutely the norm. That's not even in question. That's an enormous amount of people that are going to be put out of work. We had in our accelerator, for instance, people that, deep learning guys that took them 2 weeks to outperform doctors in radiology assessment. As a career, I know people that are actively pulling their kids out of university and trying to get them to switch out of that profession because it's not a profession going forward. And even in surgery now, you're starting to see robotics outperform human beings. You take IBM Watson as an example, skin cancer diagnosis. Love your doctor, go see him, fantastic. 84% accuracy rate for doctors. Watson's at 95. So no matter what you think, it's kind of unavoidable. What's happening in some of these areas. So many of these core things about how well you can remember something to write a result on an exam are simply no longer applicable. We need to think more broadly about how we create value, how we interact as human beings, and all that sort of thing.
So if you're so passionate about it, is there a group of people who are actually coming up with new curricula? I mean, is there somebody actually proactively going out and saying, this is what we need to teach, this is the... because I know in Asia, for example, I know in Hong Kong there's this thing called IB, right, which is slightly different from the way I learn.
Sure.
It's like there's maths, there's geography, there's history, but you learn how to present, you learn how to collaborate, which is a different way, but that doesn't sound like it's extreme enough.
It's not. So I've been involved in a think tank here in Hong Kong that's looking at how education will reshape. And also in Singapore, we went and took them, they were really interested in what we were doing with the Emerging Entrepreneur Challenge, the Prime Minister's office, and they were looking at potentially making it a national sort of program, because I think in Singapore more than Hong Kong, there's this realization about how quickly things are changing. So if you have a look at the port area that's being redefined, and A-Star is very heavily involved in that, it's going to be almost entirely robotic. And that's 5% of their economy, to put perspective around it. So let alone what happens if China...
loading and offloading of boats and stuff.
Yeah, all of that sort of thing. You look at driverless cars, driverless trains, driverless light rail transport, autonomous vehicles. I mean, Singapore is heavily invested into that. And so all these things are really happening in material. So the question is, how do you prepare from an education standpoint for that emerging reality?
But why would that happen in a country like Singapore, where traditionally, you know, the populace has been quite controlled with education, right? And now saying, well, actually, we need to give people the freedom of thought, the freedom of choice, the freedom of opinion, the freedom of politics, whatever. Is that not a big conflict in that kind of environment?
It's no doubt a social challenge,
yeah.
And it's a social challenge that the government's very aware of.
Yeah.
But they're also not going to cripple the future
Sure.
to try and protect it.
Yeah.
You know, protect the past.
Yeah.
So you've got a very forward-looking government there that's really actively looking at this. If you look at the UK, you pretty much have spent some time in the Prime Minister's office in the UK as well. They're very much aware of these sorts of things as well. So you're starting to see this big shift in the way that we're looking at education. If you think of VR tools and AI and all these sorts of things that will start entering the school area, the whole idea that we group people by their age rather than their capability goes away. I mean, how do you define a classroom? You know, we've built these out of, you know, very historical reasons. I mean, you know, schooling began basically to create factories for factories. You know, how do you produce people to go and work on the assembly lines? That's no longer valid in the way that economies are going to work going forward. So I think that, you know, there's now a recognition. You look at Sir Ken Robinson's great video on TED, and he's been talking about it for many years. I think there's now this growing chorus of consensus. I was with a guy called, I think it's Dean Kane he's the guy that created the Segway, is probably what he's best known for. He created dialysis machines, he created robotic arms for DARPA, you know, one of the most phenomenal inventors of our time. He runs a children's education competition around robotics that's now bigger than the Olympics. It's phenomenal.
In terms of participants.
Yeah, and the number of countries. You know, so you're starting to see these really big movements taking place.
And that will filter down into the whole education system, I think.
Absolutely.
So I know you haven't got much time left. How do you on time? You have to run. So just thank you for that. It was a good laying the ground for Hillary, but please give me a little round of applause. Don't fall off the chair. Hillary, that wine's not for you, but have you got a drink?
I'm fine.
Water? Cheers. So the moment you've all been waiting for, and I have to say I'm actually quite nervous. I've interviewed 100+ people, so I've never interviewed an 11-year-old girl, although I've got an 11-year-old son. So I think let's welcome Hillary. You can scream, you can bang the drums if your brother's here. Where's your brother gone? Alexis? Bang the drums, come on. You want to bang the drums first? I want a special entrance for your sister. Ready? Bang the drums. You got the... Keep going. Can you get out there? Are you comfortable there?
Yeah.
Nah, it looks better with Hillary up there. It does. Right, we're about the same height. Eye to eye. So I was lucky enough to, Steve mentioned this thing that Invest Hong Kong did, this venture capital forum. And there was about 1,000 people in this big government building, and in came Elon Musk, who was a nervous wreck, but obviously highly intelligent and highly successful, being interviewed by a very experienced journalist from CNN. And then we all I could feel the audience all feeling the same nerves that were coming from Elon Musk. Then a bunch of kids came up, and Hillary presented, and her slides didn't work. And normally, if you're an adult in front of 1,000 people and your slides don't work, you usually say something rude or fudge, something like that. I won't say fudge. So, but she was cool. She was like, yeah, all right, I'll carry on. So I closed my eyes, and it was like listening to. I'm getting emotional now. It was like listening to somebody very convincing, just telling you, almost like a preacher, right? They tell you something, and you go, oh my God, that's so convincing. And I think about 90% of the people in the room were going, that's amazing. How can this 11-year-old girl speak so confidently? So, you're not here to listen to me. You're here to hear Hillary. She hasn't got any slides. So maybe, for those who don't know what you do, tell us what the idea is that you presented in front of 1,000 people.
Okay, but I've changed the idea quite a lot from the original pitch that I did back in January.
That's called pivoting. You're allowed to do that. The word is pivot. You pivoted. Most entrepreneurs do that once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah. You're on the right route.
This has only happened once in 6 months.
You're just more mature. You're more convincing.
Okay, so should I talk about the original one or the one now?
I'd like to know how the one now is different from the original. So when you start with the original, and then tell us what it is now.
Okay, so my original idea was to set up a platform where children used live video calls to connect with each other to learn languages. At that time, I thought it was effective because it was completely human to human. Since it was another kid at the end of the line, it won't be traditional learning. Education hasn't changed for 1,000 years, and I think it's time for a change.
I don't see wrong with this one.
Okay, so carrying on. So at that time, I decided to use live video calls. It seemed like a good idea. Then I did a few more trials after the competition, and I noticed a big flaw. When time zones were clearly an issue if we were to go global, and I noticed that some children were shy and it would take them a long time to warm up to the other person. That clearly could not carry on. But I still like the human interaction part. So I decided to take a look at what my target audience, children, were using. Although this is technically not allowed, they were all on Instagram, Snapchat, Musical.ly.
Why is it technically not allowed? Uses it.
The common law in America clearly states that
What law? Are you serious?
the common law in America clearly states that children are not allowed to share their names, they're not allowed to share a thing, and if they do, their parents have to approve it, then delete it straight away.
Ah, so you got messed up in law. Did you get some lawyers involved? No.
No, I just read a bunch of articles that my
That's
mom
what
sent me
most
through
lawyers
WhatsApp.
do, yeah? Is your mum a lawyer?
No, she isn't.
No. Okay. So you started learning this, and what did you do with this
So
feedback?
I found a way around the ball. Because take a look at Snapchat. How many users are actually using it? I'm sure most of them are kids.
It's about 100 million, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you just say you're over 13, you're fine. And if you don't ask your age at all. So after we came across this law, we decided to focus on social media and how it can be applied to a language learning situation. Since waving the flag of education to other kids is uncool, they are like, are you serious?
So you mean it was homework? Speaking
Yes.
to another kid in a foreign language was homework?
Yes, so now my idea is for children to post videos of their life, what's around them, what's special, in their native language, and post it on our app. This way, people can step into your shoes, see what it's like around you, and learn your second, third, or fourth language in a more engaging way. Since you're just seeing someone else, you're seeing how they live their life, you see how they apply languages to a different situation, making it a lot more engaging and coming to life rather than homework and teachers.
Ah, teachers. That's a bad word, isn't it? So you've moved from, like, let me have a Skype call and, you know, you speak Russian and I'll speak Croatian. We won't do that. 中文，講中文。
講緊嘅話，我雜雜地啫。
雜雜地 okay. So you've got into thinking around video, right? And what's the fun part? Tell me the fun part about video, because it's got to be fun, right? Adults make really serious videos.
Definitely. Children, we have jokes that I think to adults, it sounds silly.
For example? I won't ask Alexis because he was talking about farts and burps earlier. Maybe it wasn't. So, for example?
He's an exceptional case.
He's exceptional.
So...
He's got his ears going red because we're talking.
Carry on with your book.
Alright, so tell us, let's hear.
So, to us kids, what's fun is seeing what's around you. Adults might drone on about a speech about the proper use of grammar, how this spelling rule applies to what case. But do we really care about that? If we want to learn, we have to be motivated. If not, we go out there, our eyes go blank, and we don't really listen. So for us, we talk about what's around us. We say what's special. We look at things in a different light to adults. That's what makes us different. And that is why MinorMynas cannot ever be handled by an adult, because they could morph it into some kind of horrible thing.
Yeah, corporate video, yeah. I agree. Adults, damn adults. So, I want to know, so you were hanging out at school, and then how did you hear about this big, you know, Goliath, AIA? Did you go, Mum, what's that? Dad, AIA, don't they have a building in Wanchai? What was your connection, right? You were at school, you were doing homework, you were listening to adults drone on, and those horrible things, teachers. And then, why did you want to do this? Why don't you just stay at home like all other good kids?
Good kids.
Play games, Minecraft.
I'm not allowed to play video games, and I seriously oppose them, because I think they're a waste of time. They're just a bunch of stupid pixels dashing across the screen.
Wow! All children, can I quote you to my children?
Okay.
Right, that's good. Okay.
So carrying on, my mum's friend works at AIA, so she told us about the AIA Emerging Entrepreneur Challenge. And in the back of my head, I was thinking about languages, because the previous summer, my mum took me and my brother to Taiwan to learn Chinese, because frankly, my Chinese is terrible.
And did it work?
It worked because...
So you speak fluent Mandarin now? 我讲的，我以为。
我的普通话不是
台湾什么地方？
那么好，但是我已经好了很多。
Very nice. Good work, Mum. Alright, so you came back from Taiwan and you go, damn, I need to come up with a better idea.
Yes, because over there, language immersion really works. You speak it day and night, everyone around you speaking it, of course you pick it up. But you can't go there all the time. You can't go there in the middle of term. You only have holidays and it's very costly. Because who can take a trip to Taiwan for a full month every year with your mum taking countless number of holidays, your dad staying in Hong Kong for 2 weeks all alone?
Poor dad. The sacrifices he makes. Gosh.
Definitely.
I would do that if I was your friend. I would definitely make sacrifices. Fair enough.
So clearly, there needs to be a way to bring language immersion, the environment that we need, to Hong Kong, to everyone around us. Mobile devices is what is in at the moment. So I was thinking of a way to bring that into a phone, how to make it accessible for all of us. So when I came across the AIA Emerging
So you were thinking about this before you did AIA?
Yes.
So you were just sitting there at home and you go, Mum, I've got this idea, I just want to... And then along comes AIA.
I was wondering about how I could make a solution to this problem, which, as all parents around here know, certainly is the case. How many of you spend a lot of money on kids learning languages? Raise up your hand.
I think a lot of these adults spend a lot of money on themselves learning languages. Forget about children. I mean, how many foreigners live in Hong Kong and can't speak a word of Cantonese apart from
Millions.
Yao Bing, Tua Bing, Tic. Right? So yeah, I'm curious. So you were there thinking this idea. Along came AIA, and what gave you the energy to what? Weren't you terrified?
No.
No.
I do a lot of public speaking classes, debate. I'm quite comfortable speaking in front of a crowd.
Looks like it. I would love to hear an adult say that. I haven't had an adult once say that.
Really?
Yeah. Adults, I won't say that, I was about to swear. Adults get very nervous when they have to be in front of other people because they think they're looking at them, they're judging them. You know, it's all about, you know, don't worry.
That's a stereotypical adult.
Yeah, and I am a stereotype.
It doesn't seem like it.
Not at all.
So you've done 102 and this is 102nd.
Yeah, that's right.
You've done it to so many people. I don't think you're really that nervous.
No. It's all in circus. So, okay. Now I am. Okay, so all right. Let's get back to where we were. So you know you weren't scared, and then what happened? So what is the program that they do? Like you go and you hang out with AIA. What do you do? Do you go and
So you go there and pitch to get into the competition itself. That day was preliminary. There's around 20 teams, I think, and we all had to do a pitch, which was roughly one to 2 minutes. And
this is without any training? We do a pitch.
no.
Okay.
No training at all.
No training.
You just go up there, you say your business idea,
Yeah.
and you hope that you get it.
Okay.
So,
Did they ask you difficult questions? Was it like was there a panel of judges, the kind of the difficult one, the warm and friendly one? Was it like America's Got Talent or something like that? Or was Simon Cowell there? Did you have the Simon Cowell of AIA?
I should say that the panel of judges were all quite good. We didn't have Simon Cowell come storming in with some kind of bad temper.
So there were no difficult questions?
We had some tough questions, but if you thought through your business idea, it was fine.
It was fine. So you were ready?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Although I was a bit nervous afterwards, I thought that I might not have got in. And 2 weeks later, when I woke up, my mum in this red piece of paper saying, "You got in." I was like, "Oh, I did."
So then what happens? Do they train you? Do you get like somebody who comes in and says, "Okay, this is the way you must speak. This is the way." How do they prepare you for your? Because like you said, you're confident to speak, so you don't need any training in speaking. Right?
Well, I didn't know much about business before. Before I came across AIA, I had my hopes set on everything about being an author. But now I have a very different view of my future.
What? So AI has turned you from a creator
you get to think of creative ideas, and it gives you more freedom as you grow up.
So tell us what you learned. So you learned business. What did you learn? What specific things?
I learned about customer relationships because we went to Citibank. We saw their PR department. We saw them. It was hectic over there. Everyone's picking up phones at every second of the day. They were just lunging for the phones. I say it was chaotic, but you could learn a lot over there. And I also learned about how a pitch is done. Because before, on my first pitch, I was just like, so this is my idea, this is how it works, I think you'll make a change, done. But now I have a bit more idea about the flow, how to get to customers, how to recognize the pain points, and I think that's one area where I improved a lot.
So would you give your advice to any other adults? Because I know a lot of adults that don't understand what you just said. Or they pretend they do, and then they do it exactly the same way they've done it for the last 20 years.
Okay, for adults, this is what I'm going to say to you.
Okay, wait. Make sure they're all listening.
Okay. Listen up.
Listen up.
I don't need a drum roll, Alexis. I see you're waiting for it. So go back and sit down.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, let's get back to it.
So, I say keep your minds open. Be ready for changes. AIs are coming on the way, new technologies, and I'm sure some of you are quite stubborn. You want to cling to your ideas. So, keep your minds open, and I'm sure you'll change a lot.
Good advice. So, what would you, it was 8 weeks, right?
Yes,
So, what do you think they could have done better?
better.
Yeah. You've obviously got an opinion. I'd like to hear what you think. You know, everybody wants to improve, right? What do you think they could have done better if they were engaging kids with ideas? If you were running your own program, what would you do?
I think I would have a bit more company visits. We did 3. I think that we should have gone to more so we can see what we learned applied to a real life context. Rather than having 3 scattered all around the place, I think if we had a bit more, we could see everything we could really see how different businesses use the same idea, same concepts in different ways.
So who were the 3 you saw? You went to Citibank?
We went to Citibank, we went to Facebook, and
Oh, you went to Facebook, okay. What did you see at Facebook?
Facebook, we saw this enormous wall where we got to leave our signatures. That place was enormous. They had a crazily big snack hall full of sweets, and you could just grab anything.
So sweets, all right. Did they actually teach you anything about their business?
Not really.
Not really. That's another thing about adults, is they usually get very protective. They hide things because they think hiding is powerful.
The only thing that they really revealed was strapping an Oculus to our head and letting us try out a video game.
Oh, you tried that?
I tried it on. I was the quickest one to take it off.
Because you didn't like the pixels going across the screen. So you think, I want to have a prediction from you. Do you think Oculus is the future of Facebook?
No.
No, okay. Why not?
All my friends say that Facebook's out for a start.
Ah, there we go, okay.
And the Oculus is some kind of crazy device where I'm sure people with motion sickness will hate this thing. They will throw up every time they put it on, and I'm sure they will retch at the thought of an Oculus.
They obviously haven't done much research, have they?
No.
So if your friends think that Facebook's out, where are your friends hanging out?
They all love Instagram and Snapchat. At the moment, everyone at school is talking about whose Instagram account is the coolest, who's put up the best posts. And
Is it videos or photos or what?
They talk about photos and videos. I've seen a lot of rants about Donald Trump.
Your age.
Yes.
What does a kid your age say about Donald Trump? Like, he's got weird hair. Well, Alexis has got a video.
Well, whenever me and Dylan see Trump on the newspaper, we rip up his head and dump it in the bin.
Ooh. Wow. I like the honesty of kids. Well done. I think lots of people in the Democratic Party in America do that too. So let's go back to your business. So you pivoted. Thanks for that. You pivoted and you go, right, I think it's more about videos, right? So
Yes.
now you've done this. How are you going to turn it into a business? What's the next step? Have you got, like, is it a proper business?
Not yet. We've created a mock-up through Pop, and we're now talking to developers about how to turn this into an app. If all goes well, we aim to launch in September when school starts, so we can build up an enormous buzz over the summer holidays. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be ready in September for adults and children to use.
So this is the logo, right?
No, that's the icon we made.
Oh, the icon. Sorry, I stand corrected. So, I'll just warn you, September's not that far away, and developers notoriously tell lies. Oh yeah, but it's more complicated than we thought it was. Oh, we can't do it for Android and iOS. We've got to do it for Apple.
Don't worry, we aim to launch in September, but if there is any delays, we can postpone it to a different time when we can raise the most amount of excitement. September is our starting point. We can push it further back, but we will keep a close
That's good. What kind of boss are you? Yeah, because you're going to hire people, right? You got a business. Are you going to do it all by yourself? You're going to hire people. Are you raising money? Are you going and pitching people and saying, "Give us dosh"?
At the moment, we believe that we need to raise as much value as we can alone before we reach out to investors. That way, we don't have to give that much of our shares away. We want to keep as much ourselves as possible.
Wow. So you're emptying all your lycée packets and saying, "Yeah, that's enough." Your brother maybe could learn to program. You could do it as a family.
Him?
I mean, Stephen was talking about an 8-year-old hacker, right? A 10-year-old hacker, 8-year-old hacker. He's got it in him.
The 8-year-old hacker who can only hack into a phone after watching you enter your password.
Ah. Okay.
The Wi-Fi hacked into it.
You're lying. I remember you told me that Lily in your class told you the password.
Okay, very nice. So yeah, so no, honestly, you're gonna, if you've got to start to think about building a business. I'm wondering, what are you going to do? I mean, you've got an idea of how you're going to make it. You're going to do it at home, or you're going to do it with your own people. So, but at some stage, you're going to hire people.
At some
There's a few
stage,
people in this room who are looking for a job.
At some stage, we will hire people, but that is not necessary at the moment. We have a good enough 4-person team.
4-person team made up of.
Me, my mom, my dad, and my brother.
And what titles do you have? You're the founder, CEO.
Okay, my mom is this. My mom oversees all the operations. She deals with social media. My dad is the person who's don't stare at me like that. He's the person.
Pretend he's not looking at you.
My dad is the person who sometimes puts in a joke, or sometimes.
Oh, he's head of HR.
What's that mean?
Head of HR is like one of these massive titles. But basically, it's people who are good at dealing with people and massaging people's egos. You know, one person gets pissed off with another, gets angry with another. And your brother decides he doesn't like you. You decide you don't like your brother, and then he says, have some chocolate, whatever. They come and makes peace.
Chocolate doesn't apply in this case. It's
Okay.
more of go to your room and stay there.
All right, so you'll do that, and then I want to know. You're going to have a real business, right? Does AIA come back to you in 6 months and go, "Oi, what happened? You went through our accelerator. Where's the business?" Do you go back to them later? Is there an ongoing relationship?
We still talk to them and they give us advice on how to carry on.
Yeah.
They've linked us up with Red Soldier, which is the developer we are currently talking to. So they are still helping us a lot with my business.
So what's your advice? There's some other children here. What's your advice about doing a startup? If you wanted to do a business, do you think there's a good way to do it? A right way or the wrong way?
Right way or wrong way? I don't think there is. I think it depends on how you work. You have to spend all your free time in it. No matter how much you want to read, you have to do it. And when you pitch, you have to practice a lot until you memorize the whole thing and you can recite it backwards. That's the only way you will remember it on the day.
So the fact you've done this, are you seeing friends around you saying, "Ooh, I like what she's doing, I also want to start my own idea"? Is it spreading? Do you see people looking at you and going, "Wow, that's great, I really want to do that"?
A few days after I pitched, I found this girl with this ice cream business that just sprouted. And my good friend in the other class is now running a dog walking business.
So you've got an ice cream business, a dog walking business, and a language learning business.
Yes.
Got an empire. Right? You and Rupert Murdoch.
Unfortunately, the person who's running the ice cream, let's say that I'm not in the best terms with her.
Okay.
It's on
So
video.
I want to take some questions from the floor. So who's got a question? Would you like to come forward? Because I'm not going to throw the mic over there. Just tell us what you do first.
Hi, I'm Marie, and I actually live in Shenzhen. And I just started my consultancy for digital marketing. So, if you need help, I can help you out. But one of my questions was going to be, you were talking about creating buzz over the summer to prepare your launch. How are you thinking about creating buzz?
I'm going to talk to my friends. I'm going to push it as far as I can on Instagram because I just noticed that every time I start something up, I find about 10 children on Instagram, which is technically forbidden. So Instagram is the best account, best means of using it. I'm also planning to, this is just a plan, go to somewhere where there's a language that's about to be lost. Because as we all know, languages are important, but some of them are dying out. We want to reach out to them, get them to take some videos about that language. So although we might not be able to learn it completely, we still have a record of it before it disappears.
So you're using Instagram to do your marketing, which is, she's at the beginnings of digital marketing. I like it. One thought I came up was, whilst you talk about it, is you're creating, you've got to communicate, recruit people from other cultures. How are you going to do that?
I'm going to start at my school because on our Year 6 Instagram group chat, I have no clue how to set it up, don't ask me. I found two kids who are in a different country. One is in Australia, one is in England.
And they speak different languages, though. Australians and English.
They also speak English, although it has a very bizarre accent that comes with it. No offense to any Australians in the room.
Yeah, Steve's left already. Although he's an Australian with an American accent, so.
Yeah, you better say that to my classmate. He puts on the most ridiculous accents you can think of.
So you're gonna start with your test bed will be people in your school first.
Yes, and hopefully if they like it, they always go on holidays to different places. I will ask them to push it wherever they go. And as we all know, trends are started by kids. One kid plays a Rubik's Cube and it's everywhere.
Very nice. So traveling.
Yes.
With the app.
Definitely.
So I'm going to ask the question that all investors ask. How are you going to scale it?
To scale it, I don't think it'll be that hard because word of mouth is what spread Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Musical.ly. Everyone's heard of Musical.ly, have you?
I have, but you might want to explain. There's people, I'm sure they have. Just for the advantage of people who don't know what it is, can you explain?
Musical.ly is where it's a bit like Dub Smash, where you have a 15-second music video where you lip sync. Personally, I think it's quite ridiculous, and I don't understand why people are on there. But a lot of people are on there, and a lot of our target audience is using Musical.ly. So clearly, that has some impact. Oh, one thing I found out. Musical.ly was a failed education app with only 8% of their investments left. They turned it into Musical.ly.
Ah, very nice. Good find. Another question? That's what you do.
So I'm Tony. I'm an entrepreneur like yourself. I have several businesses. So I like to, on my spare time, I have 3 businesses, so I'm quite busy. I don't have to study, but on my spare time I like to come out and to these type of functions. So I'd like to ask you, you have a business, you have to study. What do you do in your spare time?
My spare time, I do as much on MinorMynas as possible.
What inspires you? How do you play? Or do you play? Play?
So when I'm not doing business. If I'm not doing my business or if I'm not doing my homework, you'll usually find me in my room curled up reading.
So you play reading?
I want to say the word play.
Have fun reading. Relax reading.
Yes.
Relax. Okay, another question, one more. Let's take, have you got any from these guys? Oh, but there.
Actually, I've got a question for your parents. My parents would have said, okay, just focus on your study and forget it. Was there a moment where you decided, possibly together, that, okay, she's gifted for this, let her express her creativity and desire for entrepreneurship?
She's taking a live video, so I don't think she's quite available.
So the question is, I think quite gets it.
At what point did you realize you had this creative skill and you said, go on as a parent?
Well, I always let her do whatever she likes. She's a kid, so she enjoyed doing it, just go ahead. So not any precise moment that I think find her talent or whatever. Just I think she wants to do it, then she help her. That's all.
All right, let's take. Do you girls have any questions from people that are your kind of category of age? No? None at all? Shy. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you. Unless you want to say something else.
Okay, so we've set up a Facebook page, MinorMynas,
How do you spell that?
MinorMynas. You'll find the little bird icon. Please like it. We'll keep you updated. We won't give you any spam.
This one, right? That is the icon.
This is the icon for Facebook, but that's not our logo.
So get your marketing right. Sorry.
Yes. So please like our Facebook page. We'll keep you updated. We have a launch page. If Facebook is not your thing, you just go there, leave your email. We won't send you spam. I promise that.
Very nice.
So like it. We'll keep you updated, and I hope to see a few more likes tonight.
Excellent. Thank you for doing that. Good job. What a pleasure to interview you. Don't go away yet because we're going to do a lucky draw. Can I have the name cards?